Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's time once again for the real world of sales with the one person who knows all the wildest sales stories in Orange County and meets some of the most incredible people doing the most amazing things right here in our own backyard. If they can sell them, surely we can sell our stuff here. The woman who teaches everybody, Ashley V. Welcome, Ashley V.
Hey, Paul. Thanks so much. It's great to be back having another awesome show. And we have Richard from Newport Beach Vineyards and Winery. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you.
Richard Moriarty has a actual full-blown vineyard. I thought this was just a place like a wine store or maybe a place that they buy grapes and they just, put their label on. This guy's growing the stuff right here in Newport Beach. Richard, why have I not heard about this? You've only been around, what, a year or two?
25 years, actually. We just published our 25-year anniversary in the Orange County Business Journal of 25 years of obscurity because nobody seems to know that we're there.
Well, we're going to change all that today. 25 years ago, were you in the wine business? Walk us through. Well, how did this thing launch?
Oh, I went to school in France, so I developed a taste for wine. I had a wine cellar in my old house, and my old house became basically commercial real estate, and I actually acquired this property down the street that was 3.5 acres, and it was horse property, and I didn't want horses, and I certainly didn't want to put a lawn in. So at the time, the vineyard seemed like a great idea, but my neighbor insisted that I put in a vineyard that I needed to put in a complete winery, when in fact in Malibu, when you put in a vineyard, you are specifically not allowed to put in a winery, but the city of Newport, in their infinite knowledge of wineries and vineyards, so had me put in a cave, complete winery, bonded premise, et cetera, to lower the traffic. But to lower the traffic even more, they made me not open to the public. So
that's crazy. So you have a full-blown winery, the wine cave, restore it and everything here, but it's what, just by appointment only?
Yes, it is. We do a lot of events. So we do like corporate events, political fundraisers type thing in our wine cave, bridal showers.
So Richard, how do you promote your winery, your vineyard? Because not a lot of people know that there was like a vineyard right here in Orange County. They think it's like outside, like
right here in
Temecula.
Newport Beach with all this high-priced real estate. I would think somebody would have snapped you up and built a hotel or condos or something.
Well, we're zoned theoretically single family. Of course, SB 9 changes all that here, but our Mesa Drive is all large estates. So mine was a 3.5 acre estate, so you can only have a single family house. You're left with basically an acre that we planted in a vineyard. So I have 1,200 vines that are basically Bordeaux varietals. So we make what's called a meritage. What a meritage is means the merit of your best grapes and the heritage of Bordeaux. So we're growing Cabernet Sauvignon, Cab Franc, Petit Verdot, Malbec, and
I got so many questions, but I know Ashley. This is Ashley's show. I don't want to dominate here, but my wife worked at a winery in Temecula. I had I got a little slug of wine there. I had a restaurant for a number of years, and we served wine, and so this has been a fascination of mine. Imagine my amazement that right here in Newport Beach is a full-blown winery growing their own grapes, bottling, estate bottled then, right? Bottling your own stuff?
Yes, to be an estate bottled, it has to be grown, harvested, bottled, aged. So we like the wine that I brought here today is my estate 213, which is actually aged for 3 years in used Opus barrels in our cave and then bottled on the premise. So this bottle has never left our winery until today.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for bringing on the show, Richard. And what's like, how do you make the wine taste really good?
Well, first of all, taste is very subjective. Some people like white Zinfandel, so there's that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
there's box wine. Yeah, right.
Well, starting with $1,200 Opus barrels that have been used once that I buy for $200, it's a good start. So I make my wine can be brown bagged next to an Opus, and I have people pick my wine over
Ashley may not know, but Opus is a very high-end brand of wine here.
They get $300-$400 a bottle. I don't.
Yeah, I see. Oh, so it's not like Charles Shaw, like $2 wine.
$2 Chuck. Yeah,
we're in a different end there. That's a Gallo making in 500,000 gallon tanks.
Yeah, exactly what it is. All right, so walk us through. Is this a wine region? There are no wineries, or few that I know of. You rattle off a couple. I guess there's more than I know of here. So talk about this as a wine growing area.
Well, the actual history of wine in Orange County goes back to the fact that at one time LA County had more vineyards than Napa. And so at one time the Los Angeles Wine Society decided that Anaheim was the perfect place in the world to grow grapes.
Really?
And they bought the city of Anaheim, divided it up into parcels, and sold it to German immigrants. And they ultimately had over 2,000 acres of vineyards in Anaheim, which at that time got wiped out by something they called Anaheim disease, which we now call Pierce's disease, which is a virus that kills the vines.
This would be what, the late 1800s or something?
Pretty much turn of century there, yeah.
Right.
Wow, that's crazy.
Anaheim, meaning we had somebody in talk about this once before.
It's actually a German word, means close to the water, which was the Santa River.
Yeah, right. Anna's River, Anna's Pine.
There you go. There's your German.
So how come the wineries didn't just like start somewhere else here? How come they moved to Napa or other places?
Well, because we filled all our vineyards with orange groves here, I think. So
okay.
as our climate has changed, they're moving further north now, and Washington is becoming a more desirable area, just like in Champagne. England actually has a good Champagne region now compared to France as the temperature creeps up.
Because you're saying in the chalky soil.
The chalky soil of Epernay in France is the same as the White Cliffs of Dover, so they're able to grow Champagne in England.
And the real reason, Ashley, is because people moved in. And the land was more valuable as housing tracts and apartments and office. I remember going up to, there's one or two San Antonio wineries, one I know up in Ontario and Rancho Cucamonga.
Yeah, Galliano was in, they were a 100-year vineyard, and San Antonio is over 100 years.
And they were, so they're still standing there, and there's still a few little pockets of grapes growing in some of those areas. But that time, at one time, I think you're saying right before Prohibition, maybe the 20s or 1910s or something like that.
Well, between Pierce's disease and Prohibition, it pretty much tanked the industry, I think.
Exactly. And
Wow,
they
that's
plowed all
crazy.
this stuff under, and then they started turning it into homes and
Orange
cities.
groves.
Orange groves, yeah, exactly.
So people don't even know that their house is on a vineyard years ago. Like that's so cool though. And how do you sell the wine? Like do you sell it to individuals or restaurants or like liquor stores?
Well, I'm obviously a licensed, ABC license. I can sell to whoever I want, but we didn't get barcodes, so we're having a hard time getting it in department stores. So we sell it. We have a lot of events, so we sell at our events, and people buy it. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's great.
And what kind of production do you do? I don't know if you can disclose
So basically, we have 1,200 vines as head of Bordeaux varietals, and we can get 6 tons on a really good year, which translates into 400 cases of estate wine.
Wow, 400 cases. So that's a lot. And then you're selling some directly to the public, some for events, and then are there restaurants around that carry it somewhere here?
I've sold to a lot of restaurants. When you start dragging a couple of cases up the back stairs of the cannery, you start
Yeah,
evaluating your life choices.
Maybe not the best thing to do. Have you ever tried to get into the big distributors, Southern Wines, Wine Warehouse?
No, once again, without a barcode, it's they don't want to. And my production is so small, they really don't want to deal with it. So
it's more like a private wine label then.
I try to get into High Time, and they only bought one case of me in
yeah.
25 years.
Wow,
so
that's ground zero for
crazy.
wines over there in Costa
That's what I
Mesa.
thought.
Yeah,
So.
exactly.
But you've been on selling OC too. You promoted your wine there.
The TV show selling OC?
Yeah, selling OC.
Oh, no, that's I'm
Netflix
a real estate broker, so we did.
Okay.
I was sort of approached by them to list the winery for sale because I'm building a house across the street right now, and basically I wanted to rent the house. And so if you watch season 3, episode 3, there's a very good. It's filmed for 3 days basically. For that episode, so there's some good footage of the vineyard if you don't believe it's there.
Yeah, and
It's
again,
on
That's
52
great.
countries right now.
roughly give us, because you
Amazing.
told me exactly where it is, and I'm still trying to picture. I just pictured
So I'm
big
right.
houses
I'm
there,
right
yeah.
below the takeoff pattern of John Wayne Airport. So Birch Street at one time was in a connect down to University Drive, where they're going to make the Upper Bay into a marina,
Right.
which is now the ecological preserve, which I abut.
Right.
So I'm at the end of Birch Street. So when you take off from John Wayne Airport, you don't see my vineyard because you're flying over it.
Straight up.
Wow.
And if you come in the Santa Ana approach, you're too scared to look down. So
Yeah, because they come in fast. So you got to be, we're here at UCI, you got to be a mile or two from here? You can't be too far.
1.6 miles from here.
There you go. So we're going to see you a lot then, right? You're going to come over and we're going to host
But it's by appointment, so don't drop by to see it like the people yesterday are standing in front of the sign that says by appointment
Oh
only.
my gosh.
knocking on the
We saw
door,
it on the internet though.
ringing the bell or something.
And people can do like a wine tasting there. Like they go there. It's like in Napa, you know. You go to
By
different wine tastings
appointment,
and
you can book. We book weddings. We had a yoga graduation the other day. I don't know. We've had
yoga
political
graduation.
fundraisers. We've had We don't really like weddings, but corporate events are very good for us.
I
So
would
they
think-
take the team there, and then they try the wine, they sample it, and then they can buy it or hang out there for
Oh,
the day.
part of our thing. We usually sample 4 different types of wines that we have, and then people like them, they can buy them.
Okay. Which one is like the most popular?
Yeah.
Well, the one we grow our estate wine obviously is our Bordeaux, but we have a really nice rosé, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir. We have other ones we put our label on that we think are good wines, and obviously other people do too because they buy them. So
But you source
Yeah.
those from somewhere else. You get
Yeah,
those all
yeah,
over
those
the
are
place, or
private label for me.
Yeah, exactly. What's the world of wine sales like? At one time, seemed like there were more wineries than there were customers. Everybody wanted a winery. The Smothers Brothers had a winery, I remember, a million years ago. You say Vince Ferragamo has one here in Anaheim
Yes,
Hills
he does.
somewhere.
Well, it was sort of a lifestyle type image that people were trying to
Yeah.
create. I think having a winery and standing in your vineyard, but it's not the same thing when you're harvesting it. It's 102 degrees and you're sweating and the
Yeah, it's
purple
like a
fingers
farm.
and
Yeah.
It
it's
is
a
a
lot of
farm.
work.
Yeah, it is
And
farming.
have you been to Napa? I'm sure you've been to Napa. You've
Well,
seen all
before I
the
opened, I
vineyards.
went everywhere: Sonoma, Napa. I mean, I've been all through France and.
Did you like
Italy.
learn from them or try their wine, see what was good?
Well, I
see how
started
they did it?
I started by hiring a consultant, Kerry Gott, who is president of Sterling Vineyards, and I used to fly him down at $200 an hour. And
Wow.
then I figured out if I went to the wine auctions in Napa, I'm sitting next to the winemaker for free, and he's telling me all this stuff without paying him. So
Yeah.
that was a good shift of my intelligence.
And did you become the
Right.
winemaker then? You're the
I'm
winemaker?
basically the vigneron and the vintner, which means I grow the grapes and make the wine. So the 213 that we have in front of us, I completely made that wine myself, but it is a lot of work.
And how? So
that's
what does
amazing.
everybody talks about terroir, the particular imprint of the soil in this spot? What does the soil in this spot create?
So terroir is a very ambiguous French term it's a combination of all the different elements of your basically your plot of land. It includes the type of soil, the sun, the wind, all these different things. But basically, when you're planting a vineyard, you select a root stock that is matched to the type of soil that we have. So ours is
Right.
1103P. And then we put the clones on top as far as the Cabernet or Merlot that we want to put on that rootstock.
And
Wow, that's a
this
lot.
took a lot of thinking here because there wasn't a lot of research. Is this listed as what do they call it, a vinological area, or what area of specific?
Our AVA, it's called, the
Yeah.
American Viticultural Area, is South Coast. So
Okay.
that also includes Temecula, I believe.
So did you have to like rebuild the whole land to create your vineyard, put new soil in, and make it like a good?
That's kind of
area
an
to grow?
interesting story because they were redoing when I bought the property, they were redoing the street in front of my house where I lived up the street, and they were converting it to a business park. And at the time, I'd walk out in front, and there'd be this pile of dirt, 20 feet high for a quarter mile. And when I bought my
Wow.
property, it was very sloped, and I went over to the contractor. I said I could use some dirt. And so they literally brought 20,000 cubic yards of dirt, raised the whole grade
Oh my gosh.
12 feet. So I'm the only vineyard in the world that is grown on imported soil.
Oh wow.
Because I was always told that when they built homes here in Orange County, they pretty much they want it flat, so they scrape the topsoil off. So too often, particularly maybe not in where you're at, but when they build tract homes, they just flatten these things, and you're not sitting. The soil's gone, the good soil, the soil you can grow in. That's why it's hard to grow grass.
Well,
and those
grapes
sorts
are
of
pretty resilient, but basically you pick your rootstock that matches. Like my rootstock is matched over a clay type soil. We're close to the water, so some salt influence. So, but we obviously have matched our rootstock to our soil quite well because obviously I'm growing very good grapes. So
And
Where do you get these grapes from? Like that's our, I don't know. Like do you
there's
get it's like seeds
there's
or
a lot
you
of
plant 'em?
commercial growers that you can buy thousands of different types of clones, and of course you
Okay.
can match them with hundreds of different rootstocks. So the combinations are infinite.
You actually graft it onto the
Wow.
root.
Yeah, just like roses or fruit trees.
Yeah, so you're not buying a seed. You take the stock, the roots, and you plant this, and then you
Exactly.
graft pieces onto it, and somehow you wrap it on and cut it, and it connects and grows from that.
Correct.
So it's not like you can buy the grapes from the supermarket and make wine out of it.
Those are
Okay.
table grapes. That's just not the same
Actually,
thing. So
actually.
you're not going to get very good wine from that.
So no ideas for that. Okay. So
All right.
that's out.
So, in 25 years, what have you learned? Would you do it again?
Well, I've learned that all of the commercial growers right now, 98% are all mechanically harvested and aged in stainless steel vats,
Yeah.
not old wood
No.
barrels that you have to top every month. So basically, you can take a wood barrel and throw it in a wood chipper and a pair of pantyhose in a 500,000 gallon tank, and you got Charles Shaw. So there it is.
$2 Chuck.
That's it. I know how to make it.
$2 Chuck, the famous wine that everybody gravitated to at
Yeah,
Trader
I mean, when
Joe's.
you're in college, that's what like everybody drinks. Cause everybody's a broke college student.
$2 Chuck. It
They'll
wasn't
just
too
go to the
bad.
store
It was,
and
I mean, it wasn't a great
It's,
wine.
there's nothing wrong with it, really. I mean, if you like it, you like it. That's
Yeah,
But
it.
it's
just
like if you want a
drinkable.
date, you don't want the guy to bring like a $2 Chuck. You want to bring something like this,
Yeah,
some
exactly.
fancy wine.
You got to impress you here. So
Yeah.
what price range are we at in this stuff here? It's not the $300. It's not the $2 bottle. Where are we at?
Well,
10,
I think
$20?
my 13 is $100 a bottle, and
Okay.
the other one I'm showing, it's an OC Red, is actually from Beckstoffer Vineyards, who grows grapes for Scream Eagle, which is $2,000 a bottle.
Wow.
So I mean, he doesn't
That
go
has
for
to be
Scream
good.
Eagle, but he actually is some of the highest marked up wines are from his vineyards.
I am
Beckstoffer.
amazed at the growth of wine. How many wineries now are there in California? Thousands. it
Well,
seems
I
like.
think when I got licensed, there was less than 1,000. There's probably 5,000 now.
Yeah, and I wonder when I go into any store, go into Vaughn's, go into High Time certainly, go into any liquor store, and you're going to see shelves and shelves and shelves of California wines. And I always wonder, how would I pick one? How do I get found out of that sea of they all? Is it just ratings? Is it tasting? Is it just reviews and they read it and try it? How do you get people to reach for your bottle?
Obviously, a favorable review in Wine Spectator is good. I won a gold medal with your wine, but I decided I didn't really get much mileage out of it. So, I mean,
Really? Okay.
everybody wants you to donate a case of wine to their fair. I mean, I used to get 100 invitations every fair in the United States trying
Yeah.
to get me to give them wine and pay them to taste it. So that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
It's better to get an influencer.
Yeah,
Oh,
right,
yeah.
YouTubers.
We have
Online.
goats at our winery too. We had an influencer.
Oh, nice.
I actually have them trimming the vines. They actually trim the vines.
Oh, that's
But
so
we had
cool.
an influencer come to a party, and they tagged us for. My wife has a wine brunch, and we sold out for a year and a half because of her.
Just because of that one
influencer.
That's
influencer.
amazing.
Well, that's what Ashley is.
Yeah.
Ashley's an influencer.
That's right.
here.
I'm a podcast.
Nobody
or
wants to read
show
anymore. They want to
influencer,
listen to
whatever.
podcasts.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
is true. It's crazy.
I think for me though, if I was like, had like a wine bottle I was selling, like your St. Paul at the stores, your liquor store trying to promote it, I think you have to like talk to the owner's liquor store to get and put your wine in the front, so people can see
Oh,
it.
you got to pay for those spots. They
Yeah.
don't do that for free.
Like
you
at
got
the
you got to pay
supermarkets,
for
they
those
do that.
positions. Yeah.
Yeah, the markets they have
It's
like
not
the side
free.
of the aisle. They can put your wine
But
there.
you got to pay for that.
It does. You don't just
It
get the
works,
front
though.
spot. No, I have friends
think it works.
with Budweiser that they fight for their shelf space.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I think then you would stand out if you're like right in the
I
front.
would do the
you know?
opposite. We're telling him
If
how
you're
to
only
run
making
up the
if you're only making 400 cases, you don't have a lot of leverage.
Yeah, exactly. So, do you go out if you were in the High Times? Do they have tastings? They have a bar? Do you have
I've done that with them. But was my first vintage I won the gold medal with, and then they wanted to have an exclusive, be the only one to sell it. And
those guys at High Times.
they were a little. I really haven't been back there
Yeah.
working for a while.
Well, if you're listening, call us up. You're missing the boat here. High
Yes,
Times.
because I now that I'm on selling OC, we're at 52 nations, and supposedly Visit Newport film that was interesting. They did all this last year. I had a filming for selling OC, and then Visit Newport came and spent 3 days
See?
filming us and paid us a good amount of money to do it, and yet they've never aired their show. And I went on their website to find if there was a winery in Orange County. There are no wineries listed, and Newport Beach Vineyards and Winery is not listed.
See, I don't understand because one of the
Ah,
things that
that's
people like that I've seen happen in the what little I know of the restaurant business from years ago is people, particularly if they're visiting a place, want to eat local. They want to try something local. They want to taste the local brand of tomatoes that were grown. Everybody's trying to find locally sourced stuff. Don't just
Yeah.
bring it all in. I want something because it's a little different here than it would be in LA or San Diego or Sacramento or some other place here. So I would think that would be an appeal. I would
I
think
have a
that'd
big
be
sign in
draw.
my office that says "Drink local wine."
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right,
Exactly.
exactly. Here, right? Just like everybody wants to get local ingredients and that special type of tomato, the heirloom tomatoes that only grow in this area. They've been growing for a long time or whatever. All right. Well, I think it's a secret that's time to blow the lid off. What do you say? 25 years? Is it time
Exactly.
to blow this
25
open?
years of obscurity.
Let's blow it wide open here and do it here. What's the end game? I thought you mentioned casually. Would you sell it? Are you selling it? Are you thinking?
Well,
of
I've been
selling
building a house across the street now for 7.5 years, and I'm not planning a Christmas party, so we're looking at 8. But I'm hoping to move over there and basically rent the house and then continue with the vineyard because my wife has to have a place for her goats.
it? And do you
Oh.
have kids? Or somebody's going to take this
The
over?
goats are our kids.
The goats are your kids. So,
Nice.
We have 5 goats.
so does somebody take? I'll give you an interesting analogy. You're in very rare company. Certainly, this is a celebrity lifestyle. There are people like Vince Ferragamo, the famous football player, who say, "I'm going to grow grapes. Won't this be fun?" But they don't do much with it. One, you may not know this, is in Beverly Hills. We got invited at OC Talk Radio to go to the first crush, or whatever they call it, when they roll out the wines after they crush them and bottle them. And all this stuff.
What vineyard?
I'm trying to remember the name of the vineyard, but it's
There's
on
Moraga.
Malibu wine. Or...
that it's on the guy who owns Fox, or Rupert Murdoch's estate, and it's the only licensed
Wow,
winery. It
that's
goes
cool.
back to the 1920s to 30s. Somebody who was a famous director used to have it as a horse ranch, and it was still listed as agriculture. And he bought the property specifically because it's the only place you can grow grapes in Beverly Hills.
Well, I
In Bel
think
Air.
the one you're talking to is
Yeah,
actually
out there.
Moraga Vineyards,
I
which
think
was
that's
owned
what-
by Tom Jones, who I
That's
think
it.
since passed.
It's right. He
And
was
sold
the-
it to Robert Murdoch as a life estate.
Yeah.
And actually, his winery Moraga was one of the inspirations for me because I went up and visited him and toured his winery.
Right.
And it's 8.5 acres and very vertical slopes right across from
Exactly.
the Getty Museum.
Exactly.
And he made it, doesn't do it anymore, but he had beautiful sandstone boulders he'd bring down from Santa Barbara and cut up to make all the terracing at his vineyard. So his was
Beautiful property.
very high end, minor concrete.
And Tom was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was the chairman of Rockwell.
He was. He actually owned the land under the Getty at one time, I believe. So he was.
Wow.
And
He
he
didn't have
bought
any
it.
budget.
He bought it from somebody whose name escapes. The guy who was the director of The Wizard of Oz, whose name escapes me.
Okay, yeah, but yeah, that was
Steven
how I
Spielberg.
started out.
So yes, there are, and I was privileged enough to go there. Got 2 seconds in front of the great man. Went up and shook Rupert Murdoch's hand. There he is, sitting there like
Wow.
a
Oh, that is so
little
cool, Paul.
farmer with his little straw hat on.
Oh
It was
my
so
gosh.
hilarious. Here's this big tycoon sitting there like he's Farmer John. And I said to him, "This is amazing. You have the only winery in Beverly Hills." He said, "I know."
Yeah.
In a world where exclusivity, everybody's got everything, nobody has a winery. So you're in that caliber
Yeah.
here. You and Rupert are.
Now, I say having a complete winery as compared to just a vineyard. I mean, I see people planting some little grapes, and it's very hard to make wine in small quantities. So
Yeah, right.
That's what I think is neat having a vineyard out here. It's like, people don't think, wow, there's one right in Orange County, local. They can go make an appointment and go see it. They don't have to go all the way to Napa or Temecula, which is way farther. So I think it's great. I mean, I'm sure you get a lot of
We
people
are going to
there.
blow this
It's
up
gonna
big
be
time.
really
How do
busy.
people find you? Where is there a website? Where do they make reservations? How do they find out more if they want to rent the property or set up a private tasting?
and nbwine.com.
NBY.
nbwine.com, I believe, and then 949-645-2200 if you want to make a reservation.
And a reservation is
Nice.
what? Is there a price? Is there a
Well,
tour?
we try to have a minimum of 6 to 8 people for like a tour and tasting. So we have our gardens are quite extensive. I have botanical gardens. I've been a landscape contractor for 50 years. So my gardens are actually better than Sherman Gardens, who've
Really? Oh,
who've
my
had their
goodness.
garden tour at my place twice because I actually have more and better plants than they do.
Then Sherman Gardens.
Wow.
the
Well,
famous
they've got a
Sherman-
$40 million project right now to upgrade their place to catch up with me.
to catch up with you. Yeah. Well, you and Rupert are in some rarefied company here with private
Yep.
estates on their estate here. Thank you for coming in and sharing this with us here. This is an incredible story here. We're going to get to taste some of this afterwards here.
I
What-
already had mine, Paul.
Let me just take. Let me get a little shot of one of the things. Which one did you open here? You
I opened my 213 estate,
I'll
which is 100% from our
Let's
property.
give a little reaction here while we're going out.
All right, Paul, here's your taste.
And I will
Wine
give you
tasting.
I'll give you my unfettered.
So this is very
unprofessional
comparable to an Opus One.
Opus One. I don't get to drink Opus One very often here, so
Especially for breakfast.
It even
Yeah.
smells good. The wine even smells really
the
good.
nose, Ashley.
I always say, don't
nose,
make
right?
bad wine. You might have to drink it. That's why we don't make a white Zinfandel.
Oh my, that's really nice.
Yeah, great breakfast wine, right?
Yeah. That's
Very
great.
smooth. It's not a lot of so many red wines, especially when they're younger, have a lot of tannin and acid.
Well,
Taste
this is 10 years old now, so it's I say it's a blend of the 5 Bordeaux grapes.
I was going to say this must taste like a blend because it's very drinkable.
It's
right now.
aged 3 years in French oak from Opus barrels.
It's really good. I definitely
Okay.
recommend it.
If you don't want to go out and pay Opus's price, get the Newport Beach stuff here that's bottled in the
Maybe
same.
High Time want to sell it. Irvine Ranch has been selling it, but intermittently.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we need to get more businesses selling it. This is great wine. This
That's
is
it.
amazing, and
We'll
it's
put it on the
local.
OC Talk radio site here. We'll become one of your associate
Okay,
affiliates here. or
We'll
something.
drop cases off here and you can distribute it.
Paul might take them home.
I might take them home exactly here. All right, one more time. The website is
nbwine.com, I think.
All right, Newport Beach Vineyards and Winery, everyone. Check
Ashley.
it
You're
out.
going to take everybody there. You're just kind of an amateur wine drinker. You're not really much
I've
of a
done my
drinker.
wine drinking. I've done my wine drinking. I've been to Napa.
I would say if you haven't drank your body weight, you're not really a contender.
Exactly.
I think I'm more of a contender. I'm Irish here. I got to do that. All right, thank you so much. What a fascinating story. Richard Moriarty, owner of Newport Beach Vineyard and Winery, right here, right near the airport, or right near the cliffs and the beach and all that kind of stuff. You've got to be right down close to the ocean down there or something.
You can throw a rock and hit the water. That's why when I go to Temecula and they talk about this cooling breeze
Yeah,
comes
exactly.
and raises their acid level. And I said, I just drove an hour and a half to get here and it's 110. I'm not seeing the ocean influence because I can throw a rock and hit the water from my place.
Supposed to be that one
Exactly.
little opening in the mountains and the cool
Yeah,
breeze
they point to that and I don't believe them.
It's a story. Huh? Well, the real deal is right here. Thank you so much for coming in.
My
and
pleasure. Thank
checking
you.
it out here.
All right.
Well, there you have it. One more reason to tune each and every time. You never know who's going to stop by Ashley V's Real World of Sales, right here in Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio, streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center.